Hi everyone, Emma here. We are going to make some mermaid scale bracelets today. So here's an example. Let's get this in focus. Here's an example of the bracelet, one of the bracelets. And there's the clasp, and that's what it looks like. So there's just one example. What I do is I mix 2 tubes of ginkgos together to get this random color. Let me see if I can adjust the light a bit. There we go. So you can see these are very similar colors, but they mix really nicely to give a kind of like scales. I'll show you one that's a little brighter. You can see the difference. So there we go. So there's a turquoise and a red, and you can see how amazing that looks. These are super easy to make. I would consider this a beginner bracelet just because it's mostly stringing. There's a tiny bit of weaving in here, but that's it, and a bit on this side. But again, it's mostly stringing, so quite simple. So let's go ahead. The funnest part for me, besides seeing how the different colors turn out, is you take 2 different color tubes, and you can take any colors. I find that they're so incredible that they kind of play off of each other. Now, sometimes like this one, I've used the similar color to get a more subtle mix, but the fun part is what we're going to do right now. Let me just move this up. So you need 2 tubes. Let's go through the items first before we mix these guys. So you need 2 tubes of Ginko beads. You need a clasp. Now I'm using a lobster claw and a closed jump ring. Then you need some 4mm bicones or any 4mm bead. So you can use a 4mm pearl. You can use 4mm fire polished. I've seen people use Ado seed beads as well. So sky's the limit as to this part here. That's the part, let me show one that you can see the difference. That's these beads here that you want to, so it has to fit in that section there. You need a needle. Because we're using the smallest one bead we're using is an 11/0, a 12 is, or sorry, a 10 or 11 size needle is fine. You don't need a 12. I'm actually using a collapsible needle. I managed to find some that are super thin, and I find they're easier for threading. But if you're using one with an eye, you just have to mash down the end of your thread to fit through the eye, and that should work fine. And I'm using a stop bead. So let's go ahead and mix these guys. Now the amounts of bicones, I have 40, I think, here. We may not use them all. I think we only need 38 for a 7¼ inch wrist bracelet, and that doesn't use up all the ginkgos. Now, the way they're packaged in these tubes, I find sometimes the amount of ginkgos are not the same. So we're going to open these and see. We're going to count out the amount that we need for the first 2 rows, which is 40. So you want to string on your first 40, and then we'll go from there, and I'll explain the difference for adding a size. Now, if your wrist is super big and there's not enough ginkgos to give you the length, then go ahead and add a extender chain to your bracelet, and then that'll take care of that. So we mix these guys together. Oh, this one's going to be really cool. It's very subtle. So this is the fun part. Say, let's increase this here and show you. So we dump them all out and then we start mixing them. It's fun to play with the beads. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. I wish I could do this with more of my beads, but of course then I'd be like sitting there for days trying to sort them. So try and mix them up. They seem to be, the green ones are, the dark green ones are sticking in the middle. Okay, so now let's count out 40 here. So it's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Okay, so 40, and then let's count out 20 because so the first 40 gives you your first 2 rows. So that's this row and this row. So putting those together is your 40. And then this third row, you need 20. So let's count those out. There's 5, 10, 15, 20. So, and the reason I wanted to count it out, some of the tubes that I had before, this is all that was available in the tubes. But if you look here now, you have 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 beads left. You can save these and make earrings with them, and I do have a video on how to make lovely earrings to match your bracelet. I'll post the link to that video. They're so simple to do. Or if you want, so this size here makes a 7¼ inch bracelet. That's including the clasp. So this would fit a 7¼ inch wrist, including, you know, the extension for this and this whole area here. I did measure out each row. So this is row 1, row 2, and row 3. Each row, if you add another, it gives you actually a 1/4 inch to that. So if you're going to a 7½ inch bracelet, then you want to add 3. So you take 2 of those, add it to your first 2 rows, take 1, add it to the other. And actually, I think we're going to go ahead and do that. And then it still leaves you enough to make a set of earrings. You only need 3 for each earring. So let's leave that, and we won't get a chance to make the earrings in this video, but I might make a new one. And I have a video on how to do this, but I wanted to do a new video because it's been about a year and my camera skills have gotten a lot better. So let's get started. Let's add our thread. I'm using 6-pound fire line in the crystal. That you can alter to your liking too. I took off 2 arm spans, and let me see. I am going to do a little trick. 2 arm spans is a lot to work with. So what I do is I take the first arm span and I roll it between my fingers like this. Let's get that out there. Just roll it up. Okay, now let's take a look at what we have left here. Okay, so that's about it. I just take it off like that, hang on to it. And this stuff kind of bends and holds its shape a bit. So I just twist it like that and leave it. At the end, you can put this on a spool. Somebody mentioned that was a neat trick to do too. So now So what we're going to do is we're going to leave this for at the end and use this for the second part of the bracelet. This way we don't have a whole bunch of thread, and we also don't have to add thread. I haven't actually done this on this bracelet, so we'll see how it works. It may be unnecessary, but so what you're going to do, we're going to put these 20 aside for now. That's our third row. We're going to take our first row, and to try and get a random mix, I'm just going to create a little row here like this, like that, and try and just grab them one at a time. And you are going to string them on. So you want to string them on the same way each time. So we're going to go through the bottom, and it doesn't matter which hole. You can go through this hole or that hole, doesn't matter. It'll flip over. So just string all these on like that, and you can put it down on the line. So you can see what happens once you get it on. It's creating your two rows. Let me add another one so you see what I'm talking about. So we're going up through the bottom here. So it automatically kind of flips so that it nestles in each other. So it's so easy, your first two rows. That's basically it, you're stringing. So let's continue. Put on that. And I try not to look at which ones are where, but you know what? There's been times where I had to take a few off because there was a whole bunch of one color in one spot, and I definitely want it random. But you know what? You can create a pattern if you want. I've seen that done and it looks pretty cool. So let's just grab these beautiful beads. They're so lovely to play with. Going. Let me mix this up a little better here. There. These bracelets are so lovely to wear. They feel really neat the way they nestle together, and they're kind of slinky. Oh, this one, the hole is messed up. Let me see if there's something in there. Let me see if I can poke that hole without breaking the bead. I kind of want to save the other beads for earrings. And that's the other thing, is you might want to check double your holes, because like we could have strung this on the open hole and then got to the end and we couldn't do anything about it. So I don't think we can. Oh, there it went. Make sure it got through all the way. It seems like there is something stuck in there. Nope. Let me make sure that was the right hole. There, they're both. Good. Save that one. Okay, let's keep going here. Those. So just to mention, I saw this bracelet tutorial on Spoiled Rotten Beads. It's a UK company. They're a store, and they do beads and banter, and it was on one of their beads and banter. And I think you can get free tutorials on their store website. You have to sign up with the store and do it as if you're making a purchase. And I think they even ask for your credit card, but then it puts it through as $0. So I'm just bringing these all the way down to Oh, I forgot to put my stop bead. Let me see if we can fix that. This is a tutorial. Don't watch Emma. She doesn't know what she's doing. Oh, let me flip this over here. So now you can see they're lining up really good, but then you get a spot where they're not lined up properly, but that's pretty easy. You just flip them over. I'd have to flip them individually. There. That should go there, and that should go there, and there. They're all in like Flynn. So we do have to fix this. I may have to add my stop bead here on this end. So let's take this thread and add our stop bead. I get so excited, I want to keep going. So let's take our stop bead. Don't do it this way. Put your stop bead on first. And go through a second time. Pull that through. Let's get down to bead. Like that. And pull this all the way through. There. There. Stop beads on. Let me just roll this up quickly. I apologize for that. Silly me. Like that. And we'll just put that aside. So there. Flip that one over. Oh, just get flipped again. Yeah, this got flipped. Let me see if I can flip them all together. There. Okay, so pull it down to your stop bead. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to bring this over here so you can see this piece. We need to add 3 of our 11 O's because we're going to cross over into the second hole and then come down and add the 3rd row. So we need to add 3 seed beads, 11O seed beads. And I'm using golden finding, so that should really give it a cool look. So 1, 2, 3, like that. And I think we need to increase this a bit. So we'll just go through the second hole of that same bead. And I'm just going to hang on to everything and pull it tight, and that will pull everything tight. You might have to, along as we're working, you might have to adjust this and tighten it at times. So now we're going to add our 3rd row. So let's grab our beads. Again, I'm going to try and do it random, but they seem to be all bunched in the same. There, let's try that. Okay, so we'll take this one. Let's move this over a bit. And you want it to sit in like that, so you're going to go through the top. And you're going to go through the next one, the top of the next one, like that. Make sure you can see that. Okay, so you're going through the top of this one, down through, then through the top of the next one. And pull your needle through. So, you know, honestly speaking, this is probably the most kind of complex part of this bracelet, as far as I'm concerned. You can see. Just pull tight, and it sits in there like that. So let's do the next one. go down the top, and you're going to go through the next. So you see the thread is coming out here. You went through this top one, then you're going to go through the next top one. I just try not to get my line all crossed. And to pull it through. There, and it's tight like that. Super easy. So let's go a little faster here now that I've shown you. If you're not sure, just pause it and rewind. So the next one. I think I say this part's the most complicated because it, you know, you're so used to doing bracelets where you hold it in your hand, and this one's kind of flippy floppy, so you can't really do that. There. I'm just going to make sure everything's tight. There we go. Next one. Go through the top and through the top of the following bead. Oh, that went through the next one, so be careful not to do that. And pull tight. Next one. So this is, oh, sorry, bit off camera there. Let me move this up here. Okay, grab the next one. I think I'm gonna, now that you can see what I'm doing, I'm gonna reduce this a bit so that I don't end up going off camera. That's how that happens, because you're not, as a YouTuber, you're used to where the camera, where you can put your hands, and if you adjust the enlargement, your brain doesn't adjust where you put your hands, so you end up off screen. Like that. Like I said, these are so cool to wear. They're really fun to play with. I find them kind of like soothing, this feel of the tiles, and they're so smooth and neat. And you can bet not many people are going to have, unless they're beaders, they'll have never seen anything like this. They'll be wondering where you got it. It's just such a unique bead. We're almost done. So this is a super fast one too. I mean, it's taken a little longer because I'm explaining things, but if you're doing it on your own, it's pretty quick. Okay. And it's pretty forgiving. You see how that got all caught up, and then it easily flipped the right way. Let's move this over so you can get a better view. So let me just enlarge this a bit again in case you didn't see it the first time. So we're coming out of the bottom of this bead here. So we're going to pick up another bead. We're going to go through the top, and then we're going to go through the top of the next bead like that, and just through that, and pull it through like that. There. Next one, through the top of the next one, and pull it through. Just checking for shadows here. That. Pull through. Lovely. Super simple. You know what's funny is the first time I saw this video, I was like, ooh, I don't know if I can do that. And now I look at it, it's like so simple. But you know, when you're not used to something, it looks really foreign. But these are so much fun. And there's so many really, really incredible colors. And I find because they're big, you really get the effect of like the Picasso and this finish that they put on them. Okay. Through. And our last one. That. So we just go through the last one, that's it. Where's my line here? There, like that. So there's the last one there. Okay. So now what we are going to do, I'm going to move this over here, is we are going to go through the second hole, but to do that we're going to add some 11O seed beads. That's going to be part of our clasp. So let me try, not sure if I need 3 or 4. Let's see here. Yeah, I think 4. Try that. Let's pull it down. That. Yeah, 4 will do it. So add 4 11Os. Then you're going to go through that first, or the second hole, and just pull this through and pull it tight. There, like that. Now our thread's coming out of the top on the second hole of that bead. We're going to add our bicones. We're going to go through and add bicones all the way around. So we'll pick up a bicone. Coming out of this hole, we're going to go through this hole. That. There. It's nice and tight. That's what we have so far. Okay, I'm going to move some of these things out of the way. Pick up our next one. And we're going to go through the next hole. There. Simple. Again, just stringing. Let's bring that down. Go through the next hole. That. I hope the colors are coming out on this video because it's hard for me to tell from my camera because of the angle. But oh my gosh, they're really beautiful. These are, I'm using Chinese crystal bicones that I got on AliExpress for, I think they were like 50 cents for 100. And oh my gosh, they're gorgeous. These are green AB. Nope. Helps if I pick one up and through the next hole. Let's move that over here. Just watch your thread doesn't get caught up on the other beads. bring that down through this hole. Ta-da! So I am getting ready to have a garage sale, and that's another reason why I wanted to redo this video so that you could see how easy it is to make. And I'm going to have kits available in the garage sale as well. So that's fun. Now the colors are limited. I still have a bunch of Ginko, so I will be coming up with more colors in the future. But what ended up happening is I didn't realize the extent of how much supplies you need to add to it. So even though I have all the tubes of Ginkgos in different colors, I didn't have corresponding color crystals. So that was unfortunate. And then the same with the 11O beads. In some of these other bracelets, I use these lovely copper color beads, and again, didn't have enough to add to all the kits. So there is going to be something like 30 kits available, but there will be a lot more available. Potentially just before Christmas, I'll be doing another garage sale that'll have kits, and it could possibly be sooner that I would do kits. So just to let you know. Just keep going here. So this is this nice, relaxing bracelet to make. Still think it's probably one of my favorites. It's, you know, it ticks all the boxes, so it's super inexpensive to make. It's easy to make, and it's quick, and it looks gorgeous, and it feels gorgeous. So I don't know, that to me makes it a hit when it comes to bracelet making. And if you were giving them as gifts, people would love them. So I'm looking at how much thread I have, and I actually probably have a whole wingspan too much. But in the past, when I was making these, I didn't have enough thread, and adding thread with Ginko beads is a bit of an issue because your thread's going to be shown if you cross over to the next hole, that kind of thing. So I was hoping to avoid that. We'll see how we make out here. So when we get to this end, we will add some more 11Os to so that we can cross over to the other side. So you can see the size needle is fine for these. The holes are all pretty big. So far we haven't run into a blocked hole. I didn't check the holes, so cross our fingers. You know what? I can't remember getting a blocked hole on a Ginko, so I probably spoke too soon. Okay. I'm starting to get nervous the needle wasn't going in. I'm like, no! This is not like another bracelet where you could break the bead to get past it. You kind of need all the beads that are in there. So we are at the last one on this side. So there we go. Pull it tight. Let me bring it out so you can see it in its entirety. So there. So now I'm going to enlarge this so you can see we're going to add 3 here. 1, 2. I'm just looking at my others, what I added. Actually, I'm going to add 4. I see what I've done now. So let's add 4. I'm going to add 4 11 O's. And we're going to take our thread and go up to this part here and go through these guys. So you're going to go through all, but I couldn't get through that last one. So we're going to go through the last one like that. And we're going to pick up 4 more. So we've got 4. We're coming out of these middle ones. We are going to bring it all the way down to this top hole here. And now we're ready to add our bicones on this end. Just like that. And that's what it looks like. And then we'll put our clasp on at the end. So this is a bit different from the design. Let me do it this way here. See if this works better. The design on Spoilt Rotten Beads, and this area here is something you can work on, what works best for you, where your thread path goes and stuff. But I found this is the neatest looking, with the least amount of thread showing, and seems to be the easiest way to do it. I've made quite a few of these and adjusted as I've gone along, so this one seems to be the best. That's my thread that I added that seems like I probably don't need, but I'll just leave it for now. Okay, let me fix this here before we have a disaster. And I'm going to tuck it under my mat to keep it out of the way for now. That should take care of that problem. Okay, add the next one. There, it's starting to come along. So we're almost done. Do that. So I hope everybody is starting to have a good summer now that things are opening up and people are getting their vaccinations. We had a lockdown recently, or I guess they're calling it the third wave. We had very low numbers. It was being reported all over the world how Nova Scotia was the example, this and that. We had like in the zeros of numbers. And then we had a really unfortunate situation where, oh, this bicone's messed up, where a family from another province that has high numbers bought a house, and they didn't isolate for the 14 days, and then they had a big neighborhood party, and nobody thought to ask them if they had isolated. So our numbers jumped up into the 300s, I think. So they locked us down hard. It was awful. But we're back to normal now, so I'm just noticing these bicones are really not very well shaped. So if you were doing this for yourself, yeah, that one's a weird shape. You might want to use Swarovskis, depending on, if you have a stash. It's 20, I think. Did I say no, 38. So you would need at least 38 of them. But some of the stores have sales, so every once in a while. And you can also get the 4mm bicones Swarovskis from Peggy at Buy the Beads, and she has just amazing prices. So, and she sells them in lots of 10. So, you can buy 40. I think it's 70 cents for a lot of 10, which means it's only 7 cents each. So for $2.80, you have enough for your bracelet. Oh, I need it would help if I put a bicone on there. Let's see what we got. Try and get some nicely shaped ones. I'm surprised. You know what? These Chinese bicones, I love them. They're really pretty. This is the first batch that I've got that they're that crappy. Like, I'm shocked at how misshapen they are. But if you look through these, you couldn't really tell unless you looked really, really close up. Okay, so we're done with those guys. Let's move these guys off a bit. So now we need our 11 O's. Now, so I have quite a bit of thread, so you probably only need one wingspan. So I probably didn't need this, so we'll weave this back in. We'll cut it and weave it in. But in the meantime, I think what I'll do is I'll move this out of the way for now. So you just slide it down. So let's go ahead and add 4 here. I want to see how I did this on the others. It's been probably, I don't know, 6 months since I've made these, so that's why I'm kind of pausing and looking at stuff. Okay, so took 4 and added it on. We're going to go through this hole. This is the part at this juncture you are going to see some thread because we're going to come up through the other side, but I'll show you when we get to that. So we've got our 11O seed beads on. Let me see if I can enlarge this a bit so you can see what I'm doing. Just bring those down. You're going to go through this hole here, your second hole on that peak, and just hang on to the thread that has the stop bead on it and pull this down, and it pulls it tight like that. Now, so there's 2 ways you can do this. You can go up around this part here and then go through this hole, through this bead to come back out here, or you can go through this hole here, loop around this side, and then come back down. So I think I will go through. It just makes this bead here sit closer and nicer. So we just went through that middle ginkgo. And again, this is probably kind of the little parts that is a bit complex, but we'll try and make it look easy. So we're coming out of that top hole on this bead here. we're going to go through the next hole on that same bead, but turning it around to go in the opposite direction. So there it is there. But we're going to go through the next bead as well. And let me see here. Bring it through like that. And pull that tight there. And that tightens everything up. So now we want to, we want to add some beads here, but we want it to link with the other. How we may have to go through again. This is the part that I find wonky with it. So let's go through these guys. Wait, actually, this is all we have to do. Just go through the two there, and that will make it so we don't have to go through another bead and show the thread again. So now we are going to add the lobster claw to this section. So let me see what I have here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's add 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then our lobster claw. Okay, so we went through these two beads. We're adding 5 seed beads, our lobster claw. Then we're going to go back through the first one here. Okay, and then we're going to add 4 more 11 O's. Like that. Okay. And we're going to pull all of this down. Okay. Like that. There, like that. Now we are going to go over to this side. We're coming out of this side. We're going to go to that side. We're going to go in through the middle. So this second bead here. Like this. Through those two beads. That. Pull that through. It got caught around the other beads. Let me adjust that there. There, like that. Now we are going to add a few beads here to link this up and come back around. And we can probably add a few more beads on each end. Depends how you want to do that. Yeah, I think I should have. If you're doing this at home, I would add 5 beads on these loops instead. So then you don't have to add anything. I think probably 3 beads. Do it. 3, 11 O's. And we are going to go through this hole here. Now we want to go back around to reinforce this. So we'll go back through those 2 as we've added the 3. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, 3 is fine there, so it looks nice. Now go back through everything. So through the 4, like that, there, and through the lobster claw. Tighten everything. That looks pretty actually. Then go through all the beads on the other side. Let me see if I can maneuver this a little better. Okay, so don't forget this one that we went through both sides. This one here. Go through that one. There. and then go through these 4. There, oops. Let's go through the 4 there. Just like that. That looks pretty. Okay. So that's twice. We could go through a 3rd time. Let's do that. Go through there. There's lots of space with these, so not a big deal. So I'm going to go through, just because the thread's coming out that side, but it's going to go through everything again. So go through this one. This one's getting tight because it's got double the lines through it. So you could use a bigger bead at that spot, an 8/0, and then go through the 4 here. There, go through the 4, pull that through, like that, nice and tight. Now we are going to go and hide this thread. We're going to tie it off. So you can see in this spot here, you can see a bit of thread. So I definitely think another bead would be nice. Let me see. We could do it now. Let's try that. So we're coming out of here. We're gonna go in through these 2, and let's add it because we're tying it off anyway. We might see some thread. So add 1 more, and then come through this hole. There. So now you have the problem that you can take this thread and cross over to tie your knot. I like to tie my knots in the middle row here. I don't know if it makes a difference or not, but I'm just thinking here. So yeah, so we're gonna take our thread over to the middle like that and go through that hole. Okay, so like that. So you see what I mean? I don't like having these threads shown, but at a distance you don't see it. And if you do it properly where you add 5 beads instead of 4 at that spot, you won't have to do this part. So now I am going to make a knot here. So I'm just going to bring my needle underneath that thread and wrap this around and pull it through tight. Tighten up that knot. And then bring it through a couple of beads and then do another knot. So go through the next bead, that, and see if we can pull that knot inside. Bring that in. Okay. Go through the next bead. I'm gonna put my knot up here, and then this one will be done. So let's go under and bring our thread around. Pull that tight. I'm going to do a second knot just to be careful. These knots seem kind of loose to me. That, there. And that should do it. There. So let's cut this. Let's grab our thread from this side, and we don't need the full amount of thread, so I'll just cut this down a bit. Make sure we have enough to create a knot though. Pull this stop bead off. Thread our needle again, and this is why I like using collapsible needles. Makes it easy. Okay. So we are coming out of that hole. So we're going to poke through these beads here because we want to end up here to add a seed bead. So let's go through, get in here, get tight. We did a good job. It's so tight. Can't even get the needle in. I can see the hole. There we go. Okay, go through that. Then through these guys. These three. Tight. And then through these last two. Like that. And we're going to add that's a bad bead. Add one. That's all we need is one. Go through here. So you see why I don't like adding them to, or putting my knots on the edge. There's not a lot of space to hide your knot. But I also don't want to put a whole bunch of thread. But you know what? You can't really see it. So let's just go to the middle. There we go. Let me see if I can. So you might want to go through the thread this way to keep this line straight. You see how this one's straight? So that was how we added it. We added it in this way. Because we've added it through this bead, it's not sitting right. Let's see if we can adjust this a bit. We might be able to just jostle it a bit into there. Okay, so we're gonna, coming out of this side here, we're gonna go into this one. Like that. So this is the issue with Ginkgos, is because of the two hole, you're crossing over from two holes. Okay, so let's put a knot here. Side. I think I'm gonna add another hole, another knot on this one, just to be sure. That. There, and through, let's do it to here, through those, and then we're gonna add a knot, the last knot. Let's see if we can, there, I pulled that knot through, so that looks good. And just add a final knot here. Pull through, and we'll put a second one like that, and through these guys. That's it for that side, and we're going to add our jump ring, and then we'll be done. Okay, Let me take a look at this side. There's our jump ring. So the jump ring should be pretty straightforward. I'm just checking how much length I have on this thread. I'm going to use the piece that I cut off. It's a little longer, I think. Yeah. Just to be safe that I have enough thread. Okay, so this part here, because we're adding a new piece of thread, we have to add knots right away. Now we are going to go through the middle. Just trying to think which is the best way. I think if we come down the middle row, we should be good. So let's start right here. I go quite a bit down because I always add 2 knots, especially because this is part of the class. You want to make sure it's on there good. So I'm going to go through, we'll start with this one. So this is what I do to add. So I leave a bit of a tail here. Then I create a knot here. Let's hang on to that tail. So make the first knot. So when you put that knot in and you go to pull, you'll see the thread come through, or it should. If it doesn't, that means you did a really good knot. So, okay, so it's, I don't know if you can see that thread is, I don't want to do it too much, it's moving like that. But that's also showing how nice and tight it is. So I'm going to leave that and I'll cut it off after. So I'm going to go through a few of these beads, put another knot. Let's tuck that in like that. Put another knot. This one I'm going to do 2 knots. Probably not necessary. No pun intended. But we want to make sure it's not going anywhere. So there, now we're just going to go through all of these beads till we get to the top. There. All the knots are hidden. There. That's good. That's not going anywhere. So we'll go through here. This. And we'll go through this top one. Like that. We're going to go through, I'm going to add the seed beads to this strand here, just to make it look like it's all part together. So we're going to pass through the 3. So you're coming out this hole, so wherever that lands, like there, so you're going to go through 3 beads. That's kind of the middle beads here. Like that. And we are going to add, let me see what I added on this one. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't think we need 6. I think 4 would do it. So let's try 4. We can always add some if it doesn't look right. So we've got 4 11 O's and your jump ring. So you are going to come back to that first one that you initially went through and then go back through the 3. Let's see what that looks like. I think that looks lovely. Just like that. And we're going to go through that a couple of times to reinforce it. So let's go through these 4 beads and the jump ring. And then through these 3, you can see there's the threads out, but that's fine. Once we go through these 3, it'll tighten it again. Let's see if I can get that in there. Let me grab that 3rd one on the next pass here. Like that. And through these guys again. Through that final one. Okay. And then let's go through these 3 and then we'll come down and do the other side for the knots. So this is where I put 4 this time, and last time I put 6. You can kind of see the thread, so you might want to put 6, but this is what it looks like when you put 6. It looks kind of like it's too much. I don't know. So, oh, on the screen. So it may be that those beads are a little bigger now that I look at them. So go through these 3 like that. Everything's tight, and go down through this Ginko, and yeah, like that. Go through the next one. See if you can go through a few there, yeah, like that. And then we're going to put a knot. Just grab this and make a knot. Let's do a second knot here. Tight. And put it through a few beads. That. And I'm going to do the last knot here. And we'll do a second one. And pass it through 2 beads should be enough. Pull that in. Here we go. We'll cut this one off. That. And we'll cut this tail off too. There we go. And it is done. This is this lovely mermaid scale bracelet. So this is the clasp. Lovely. Sparkly. Beautiful mermaid scale bracelet. So there you go. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that. Yeah, this video was a bit long. I was surprised. If you're doing these, they should probably take you about a half an hour to do. There we go. Look at that. So beautiful. Super easy. So have some fun with that. Make some different colors and add some different things like pearls and whatnot. You can always add a charm to the closure, little mermaid or some shells. Lovely. So there we go. Take care, everybody. We'll see you in the next video.